Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarastvandakaro Vai Rukarastu Nivartakaha Andakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravabhai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karnebhihi Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangai Istushtvagum Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitanyadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravaah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaah Swasti na Starksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. To verse number 21, 22, and 23. Okay, verse number 21. Apanipadoham ham achintya shaktihi pashyami chakshuhu cha shrunomi karnaha. Apanipado aham achintya shaktihi Pashyami achakshuhu satsrunomi akarnaha. Aham vijanami vivikta rupo nachasti veta mamachidatmaham. Aham vijanami vivikta rupo nachasti veta mamachit sadaham. Number 22. Vedairanek ekamehameva vedyo Vedantakrit veda videha chaham. Vedairahaneka videha ahameva vidyo Vedantakrit veda videva chaham. Na punya pape mama nasti nasho Na janma dehendriya buddhirasti. Na punya pape mama nasti nasho na janma dehendriya buddhirasti. Na bhumirapo na cha vannirasti. Na chalino me asti na chambaraha cha. Repeat that. Na bhumirapo na cha vannirasti. Na chanilo me asti na chambaram cha. Evam viditva paramatma rupam guhasham nishkalam advitiyam. Evam viditva paramatma rupam guhashayam nishkalam advitiyam. Samasta sakshim sadasat viniham prayati shuddham paramatma rupam. Samasta sakshim sadasat viniham prayati shuddham paramatma rupam. So we are beginning to the end of the Kaivalya Upanishad. So we have 2 more classes today and next week, and then we would have completed this Upanishad. So let's look at verse number 21. So here the introduction by Swami Vidhitatmanandaji on page number 192 is a good way to start. So I can even read what he says. He says, we hear that Ishvara is omniscient and omnipotent, meaning he is all-knowing and all-powerful. In what sense is that so? Okay. So if he is omniscient, means that he knows the entire creation. He is the source of the creation. He is the designer of the creation. He is the sustainer of the creation. So, interestingly enough, and I think that's going to come here also, so as the source of the creation, the knowledge of the creation, so when you say omniscient means the knowledge of the creation. So knowledge is essential for any creation. Whenever we think about something new, whenever we do something new, we think about it first. We have a visualization of this is supposing you're making a painting, then the painting is actually very much in the mind of the painter already. There may be some changes as you go along, but at least an overall picture of what the painting should be is very much in the mind. So he's the creator of the painting. He knows what has to be done. And then you actually have to paint. You have to create it and so on and so forth. So this is what would be called omnipotent. So omnipotent would mean that you have the ability. You have the ability to create what your thoughts were. And so Ishvara is considered to be the person, or should be considered from the evidence that we have, to be the one that created the whole creation and thought about it and so on. So the question is how? How does he do that? So for instance, how does he know everything to create? And more importantly, once the visualization of the creation is there in the mind, as we talked about earlier in the case of the painter, how does he actually go about doing it? What are the forces that he has in the commands? How many hands does he have? How many feet does he have? How powerful is he? Where is the presence of it? All of that are good questions in terms of the ability of Ishvara to create. What we believe to be the truth, what we have Shraddha, that the Ishvara is the all-knowing and all-powerful creator. But then how? We need to have some idea about it. Otherwise, my Shraddha does not turn into knowledge. It remains on the side of the belief, not on the side of the knowledge. So we need to sort of understand how this is done. So this one number 21 gives us an idea. So let's look at that. He says, Apanipadoham. He says, I am without hands and legs. Pani means hand. In the Indian marriages, weddings, I just attended, so this is what is very fresh in my mind. In the Indian wedding, the groom and the bride, first of all, they're all sitting separately. You know, they were individuals and so on. And the whole idea is then to get them become one with each other. And so the beginning of this process of making the two of them one is what is called, they hold their hands. So they have to, so the priest says, okay, now the next mantra I'm going to do is, you please hold your hands together. And so they both extend their hands. So this is called Pani Grahanam. Pani Grahanam. So it's not Pani, which is water, but Pani, which is hands. So this is called Pani Grahanam. So Pani means hands. Padaha means feet. So interestingly enough, the whole verse starts with, I don't have any hands. And I don't have any feet. What? You don't have any hands? How are you going to, even to paint you need a hand, don't you? In order to pick up the paint and you have to mix it together, you have to have hands. So how can you do this without hands? So anyway, so that's what he's saying. Panipad oham achintya shakti. Achintya shakti. Anyway, we'll talk about Achintya Shakti in a minute. Let's finish the list of things that he does not have, Ishvara does not have. Pashyami achakshuhu. I am seeing without eyes. Shrunomi akarnaha. I'm hearing without ears. Aham vijanami vivikta rupaha. I know everything in complete detail. Now we can go back to Achintya Shakti. He says, I don't have any hands, I don't have any feet, I don't have any eyes, I don't have any ears, etc. Everything. That's just a few examples, but all the things necessary for me to create, etc., I don't really need it. Why don't I need it? Achintya Shakti. I have some amazing power. You have an amazing power? What amazing power do you have? How can you do this? That's what needs to be understood. So this so this Maya Shakti, what is called the Maya, the power of Maya. So Achintya Shakti here means Maya Shakti. Achintya means that it is difficult for a human mind to put their arms around what this is. It's magic. It's magic. But you know, magic means something which you see the effect of, but you don't know how it is done. I mean, even in simple terms, you know, you can see you're walking outside and you see the leaves of the tree moving up and down. The leaves are heavy. They should be hanging very nice, on a branch. They should be just hanging still. But once in a while you see the leaves are moving. And if you were a child, I wonder if child will say, well, how is the leaf moving? Well, then it is explained to the child, or it should be explained, that there is some air movement. There's some particles in the form of air, and the particles has a way of moving. But where is it? Where are the particles? I can see the leaves, but I don't see the air. That's exactly right. You don't see the air, and so you don't see the air, but you can infer it. You can and then of course, if you want to magnify this, you have tremendous power of really like in a hurricane, and so the whole building, the whole tree can be uprooted, not just a couple of leaves, but the solid objects, without really unseeing it. You can't see the air and say, which one did it? Well, you can't see it, and it still has enough power to do so. So this is what is called Maya Shakti. So the Maya Shakti means that you can see the effect of it. You see, just like the example of the leaves moving, you can see you can infer from the effect that there must be some wind. If the wind is not there, the leaves cannot move. So similarly, we have the creation in front of us. That's like the moving of the leaves. But we don't know how it is there. So just like you don't see it, so the Shakti is something which is not visible to you. You cannot say, show it to me. I don't see the presence of Ishvara anywhere. This is all just, poppy talk. There's nothing to it. There's no Ishvara, no nothing. Hey, look at the effect of it. You cannot deny that the leaves are moving. Similarly, you cannot deny there is something funny going on. There is lots going on. There are things that are inert, things that seem to have a life and they're moving. And then you find that there is a beginning, and then there is some sequence of the life. The body becomes bigger, and then it decays. Swami Dayanandaji used to say that. I think either Swami Dayanandaji or Swami Maheshanandaji said that. He says, really when we think about it, it is a wonder. So this is what is called Achintya Shakti. So you can call it magic, you can call it wonder, as we were talking about in the earlier class, you can call it Ashcharya. This is just an amazing fact. Which one? Swami Maheshanandaji gave this example. He says, just look at the wonder. And what is the wonder? He says, just look at it, one aspect of it. You have an embryo that takes shape in the womb of the mother. And this embryo starts to beat its heart. The beating of the heart starts. Then it starts to grow. And then it becomes a living being when it is born after 9 months. And it is just flesh and bones, totally helpless. Totally helpless. Can't even survive without some help, and so on. And he says, you go fast forward 20 years. Fast forward this embryo 20 years from them. And you know what happens? This young man tells you, Dad, you don't understand anything, do you? This is now how the way things are. You are stupid. You are not with it. And you say, what? Who's calling me? All these names. He says, shouldn't this be a wonder? You have a small baby that you used to change diapers for. It cannot even eliminate its solid wastes. And then just fast forward it and it gives you this lecture that you are misusing something like this, and you're getting into your security on your phone is compromised, and you're going to ruin the whole family if you don't understand this. Get with it. Don't open any messages until you know what it is. And you say, okay. I will try not to do that. He says, well, what? You don't think this is a wonder? You don't think this is a wonder? He says, it's just amazing. This is how life runs. And then there is a wonder of karma and karma phala. I mean, you just pick out any aspects of that. That, somebody murdered and got away, hit and run. It happens so often where you hit a pedestrian and you say, my God, I killed somebody. And then you see around, nobody's there, and you speed off. And you go home and you're just saying, oh my God, what have I done? But thank goodness nobody knows it. I think I'm okay. I wash my clothes, the car, and make sure that there's no blood on it and so on and so forth. I'm okay. I think, oh my God, I'm sorry, but what can I do? Those things happen. And I'm okay. You are not okay. How am I not okay? Time will tell. Where is it? Who knows that I'm not okay? Somebody knows. It is there. But who? There wasn't anybody around me. Doesn't matter. Ishvara is around you all the time. So this is the thing. I know everything. You cannot fool me. So this is what he says. In the third line of this verse he says, Aham vijanami vivikta rupa. So it's a very interesting use of the word vijanami. Janami. Janami means I know. When you add a prefix V to it, vijanami means visheshena janami. I know it in complete complete detail. Complete detail. Like for example, this person killed the hit and run guy. Hit and run guy. Now, the appropriateness of the results of this action have to be done. Appropriateness. What do we mean by that? If the person accidentally hit someone and it is really not his own fault. So, oftentimes this is what happens. You find that somebody just darts out of the sidewalk, and before you realize, goes into it's really not your fault. You were driving at a normal 25 miles per hour and so on and so forth. So there is an appropriateness for that action. You should have really still stopped. And but you were so scared that even if it was not your fault, you still ran away. So there has to be some repercussions for that, because people don't know how we may have saved that person's life if you had stopped and taken him into the hospital. So there is some appropriateness for it. Ishvara also knows that instead of a 20 mile per hour speed limit, you were driving at 50 miles per hour speed limit. And on top of that, you were drunk. You don't think that and now none of the judges and lawyers and family members know any of this. You escaped from them. But you don't think that there is not going to be an appropriate reaction to your totally wrong actions of being drunk and driving at 50 miles per hour. This is what is called Vijanami. Vijanami means I know exactly what happened, and I also have an idea of what needs to be done for you to be punished for that transgression. All that is very much there. All completely there. And so, before we go to the very important last line, Na cha asti veta mama chidatma sadaham. Let's finish the first three, which we haven't finished yet. Apanipadaha ahamach. I don't have any hands. I don't have any legs. I don't have any eyes, as he said before. Then how are you going to how you are seeing? I am not seeing. You are seeing. What do you mean by I am not seeing and you are seeing? Through the Maya Shakti, I create as though it is going on. So there is as though seeing, as though holding, as though there are hands. Everything is as though. What do you mean by as though? What's the sense of as though? It appears as things are happening, but really nothing is happening. Things are happening and nothing is happening. How? Again, we go back to the very important example of a dream. I kept saying this, that really one should understand that the whole creation of the dream is meant for an understanding of Ishvara. True. I mean, It's very interesting. I sometimes see articles written about sleep and dreaming. And people think that I saw an article, where was it recently, where he says sleep is unnecessary. It's not necessary, and you need to figure out how not to waste your time. You have a fixed amount of, 60, 70, 80 years, and out of that you're sleeping one third of the time. That doesn't make any sense. We need to figure out how not to do that. Okay, you figure out. And actually there will be some university that is, this is the thing, the universities and professors and psychology and physiology and so on, they are looking for ways, what should we look at next? And it's all a game. So what you have to do is you have a professor of physiology and psychology, I don't know, which all those kinds of sciences, and they can go to the head of the university and say, we need to investigate these areas, and there's a lot that need to be learned. So I need to have some graduate students, and we will have a course. I think I have an idea of how we want to do that, and I want to really start a PhD program. And we need some grants for this. So you have PhD programs on how one can do without sleep. This is the thing that happens. Anyway, the sleep is a big mystery. And everybody's dreaming also, not just sleep. Sleep, I think people agree on. But the dreaming is a big mystery. Why do we dream? And there's so many theories, Freud onwards, that you have some repressed sexuality that you want to bring out. Other people think that there is some repressed sense of powerlessness that needs. So this is what dream is about. They all discuss all of that. Excuse me. Do you know? You know what the real purpose of the dream is? The real purpose of the dream is to understand God. What? How can you say things like that? Dream purpose of the dream is to understand God. We can say that, and we can prove it also. There's no other purpose. They maybe have some secondary purposes, like repression of your power and your ability to let off steam and so on and so forth. Yeah, those are all possible. But the main purpose is understanding Ishvara, and by that meaning in understanding yourself, and in fact your own freedom. This is the main purpose of it. How? How can you say that? Because this Achintya Shakti, this amazing, incomprehensible, that's a good word. Achintya means incomprehensible power is evident in the creation of the dream. Because in the dream, you hold things and you talk and you walk. Apanipadaha, pashyam, you see through your eyes. Shrinomi akarnaha, you hear things without having any one of those. do you use your real legs to walk in the dream? No. You are just lying there with your eyes closed, dreaming. But you are walking. This is what is called as though. And really speaking, the waking world that we take to be, so you can say, no, that was just a dream. You know what? Yeah, I understand your arguments about dream and God and this, that, or the other, but that's just the dream because it's over and so on. But this is real. I have to pay my mortgage. I don't have enough money, and I'm threatened by COVID. This is not just like a dream. So you cannot give me that example. Yes, we can. So the dream is really kind of like a test case. You just have to try some things out. And then you say, yes, this works. Now let's try out to a bigger screen. You have to look at the bigger screen. You have to look at the whole world as nothing but like dream. And I know it will take time. I know it's not going to be, because the dream can be over just by by an alarm clock, the whole thing is gone. This is not going to go with an alarm clock, but it's going to require some work, but it will go. It will go. How will it go? You have to see that Ishvara's creation, just like your creation of things happening in a dream was done with some special powers. This is why I think we may have, I don't know, may have mentioned this or not, but sleep, through which then the dream comes, is not an ordinary phenomena. You see, again, the mistake made is that the sleep is used to say, I am oblivious of something. It's just oblivion. That's all it is. You just shut your eye, and then you forget about things for a while. You're oblivious to it. Like you go to somebody's house and you say, well, I'd like to see somebody, and they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, they're taking a nap. So you're taking a nap means that they cannot see you. They're not aware of you. So just for a short time, they're taking a nap. So the sleep is not just a simple nap. Sleep is a very powerful thing that allows you to look at alternative reality. And by doing that, it really, this is the thing that we have to really think about. This is where the Mandukya Upanishad, which we completed in great detail, goes into considerable depth on this point. That the sleep allows you to have an alternative reality which makes this reality, it sort of brings it down to size. It's not the whole thing, it is just a part of it. And so, so here the first 2 or 3 lines basically says, it's possible. It's possible, just like you and I can also create things without having the paraphernalia, as though we have it. Similarly, it's no wonder, it is very believable that Ishvara also says, this whole thing is nothing but as though. You don't think so because you are in the middle of it. But you see the phenomena. And that phenomena, when you really think about it, would lead you into a state of being where you are free from it. Because both the dream and the waking limit each other, as we have seen before. They completely limit each other, but they do not limit you, the conscious entity. So this is the meaning of it. Apanipado aham achintya shakti pashyami achakshuha sakshanomi akarnaha aham vijanami vivikta rupa. I know everything. Karma, karma phala, etc., 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 everything. Then we go to the last line. Nacha asti veta mama chidat chit sadaham. This is a very beautiful thing that we spend a lot of time in the class, in the morning class on this point. So this is where we saw, this is one of the points where in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, it is an amazing thing that I see everything, but no one sees me. So this is what is called apurvata. Apurvata, there we saw that this is something which is something which is unique. To see the uniqueness of it. Unique means that it is before this is understood, there is no other way of understanding it. It's totally new. This is what is called apurva. There's an important word in Vedanta called apurva. Apurva means that, look at the etymology of the word apurva. Purva means before, it was there before. Apurva means it had never had something before that. It's brand new. What is brand new? The fact of this. Just look at the fact of it. So we'll go into that a little bit more depth. And some of it is a repetition from the earlier class, but I thought since there's a lot of new people and different kind of people in this class, I'll briefly talk about this. And this is also a very good point to contemplate on in terms of the reality of Ishvara and the reality of the jiva being the same. Or if you want to quibble about it, they have some differences. They're not exactly the same, but for all essential features they are the same. They are not the same in the non-essential features, but they're the same in the essential features. Exactly like the ocean and the wave. Essentially, the two are the same. Even though the ocean has a different definition of what the whole Indian Ocean or the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean is, and the wave is just much more localized. But the essential nature of them is they're both ocean water. Similarly here also, the jiva and the Ishvara are essentially the same. How? So let's look into that. So here, as it does on the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita also. It says that I am the knower and the seer of everything. Everything. As we saw earlier, there is nothing that escapes the Ishvara. But no one knows Ishvara. He says, he says, he's sad about it. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a feeling of sadness. And there is on the value of all teachers. This is doable, guys. Can be done. It's obvious. Don't you see it? That's the feeling that it says. And what is it? Ishvara says that I see everything. But amazingly enough, nobody knows that I see everything. Nacha asti veta mama chit sadaham. He says, no one knows me. What a tragedy. Oh, so sad. But this is the part of the Ishvara. Now look at the essentially the same nature of the Jiva. Like you and I. This is very interesting. Because we are exactly the same. We are in exactly the same situation. I, as the as a conscious entity, knows everything. In my life. So that's exactly right. So just like the ocean has a bigger contour, whereas the wave has a smaller contour. So here also I see everything in my sphere. But I see everything in my sphere. I do see everything in my sphere. My past, what's happening, my knowledge, my ignorance, all of the things I know. Everything I know. I know where I am, all of that. So essentially, but I don't know that I know everything. I don't know that I am the constant light. The constant light, unchanging light. That's the part I don't know. I know casually, I know things. And in fact, I don't know that the things that I know, the things that I see, the things that I hear, things that I touch, are also me. They are also me. This I don't know. I am the whole thing I don't know. Like in a dream, the fact that the dreamer and the dreamt are both me, I don't know. So here also, this is a very sad fact. Just like you can see with respect of sadness of the Ishvara saying it, I should see that sadness applying to me. It's a tragedy. And if I were to know that, amazing things happen. This is the sense of it. Nacha asti veta mama chit sadaham. So there's no way to, because my nature is as always as a sakshi, as a seer of things. But the seer is not seen. And this is the interesting thing, that I only apply things that I can see. It's very natural, because I cannot take anything to be real, I cannot take anything to be believable until I see it. I have to feel it. I cannot just, even if somebody says something about it that can be seen later, I give the benefit of the doubt. Fine, I don't see it right now, but I will see it later. But if I cannot say, can I see it later? No, you cannot see it later. Did I ever see it in the past? No, you never saw it in the past. Can I see it now? No, you cannot see it now. You mean I cannot see it at all? No, you cannot see it at all. This is who you are. What are you talking about? If I've never seen it, if I cannot see it now, if I will not be able to see it, you expect me to really believe any of this? This is non-scientific. You'll be able to see something. This is unique. You are without seeing. I am without seeing how. So, that is given in the next verse, number 22. Vedaihi anekaihi ahameva vedyaha vedanta krit veda videva chaham na punya pape mama nasti nashaha na janma dehendriya buddhirasti. So he says, you must be kidding me if you say that you cannot be seen. You cannot ever see yourself. Then how am I going to know myself? So the example given is that you can never see your own face. And similarly, you can never see your own back. Like, supposing you have some irritation in the back, and you want to see why is there a bug bite or what? Why do I have this irritation in my back? But you cannot see it. You can never see your back. Similarly, what you look like, your nose and lips and so on and so forth, you cannot see it. So that doesn't mean that it is not there. You see, that's the thing. You say that, hey, I want to see my face. How can I turn my eyes around? Can I see my... No. How about my back? You cannot see your back. So that means my face is not there. And my back is also not there. Because why? Because I cannot see it. Hey, just because you cannot see it doesn't mean that it is there. Why? Because you need your eyes to see. And this face, your eyes are in the face. You cannot turn around. You can, at the very best, you can see the tips of your nose. And that also if you change, or if you have to close one of the eyes and you can see the tip of the nose. That's about it. Nothing closer. Because that's it, because, we Indians have huge noses. And so we are luckier that we can see that if you are a Westerner with nice, small, sharp noses, you probably can't even see your nose. So you cannot, so just because you cannot see it doesn't mean it is not there. So, so how do I see it? Here we say that you can see it if you have a mirror. You have a mirror, then you can see it. And in order to see the back, you need two mirrors. Just one mirror is not enough. Just like, you go to these hair-cutting saloons. And so I go for my haircut. And so after that, they'll say, do you like, so they'll give you another mirror to go in the back side. And so you look in the front mirror on what the reflection of the black mirror is, then you can say, yeah, that looks okay, fine. Or you can say, no, cut some more. My haircuts are a profit center for these people. They get me in and out in 2 minutes, 5 minutes. The rest of the time they pretend they're still doing something, but all the work has been done. There's nothing much to do. So they should love me. They should have pricing based on the amount of hair. If you are like me, then they'll say, oh, that's only $5. And I see some people having all kinds of hair and so on. That it takes them an hour to do. And we are both charged the same. That's not fair. So anyway, you cannot see your hair, you cannot see your back without two mirrors. You need a mirror to see yourself. And as you know, the Vedanta is this spiritual knowledge called Vedas is a mirror to you. Vedas are the mirror. So, based on the previous verse where you say, how do I see my Atma, my real self, the one that sees everything and no one sees me? How? This verse gives that. He says, Vedaihi anekaihi ahameva vedya. He says that all the Vedic books, every Upanishad, every Smriti, including the Gita and the Mano and the Manusmriti, so many Smritis. Brahma Sutra. No, there are thousands of. This is what we were studying in the earlier class. It's called Samanvaya. Samanvaya means Tatparya Nishchaya of all the various books that I study. They all have one thing. That's all the mirror. They want to show you what you really look like. So he says, Vedaihi anekaihi. Eka means one, aneka means not one. That means many. All of them. It's not like it's very secret. It's only there in corner of one of the Vedas quickly and it says Tattvamasi and then that's it. It's all over the place. He says, Ahameva Vedya. So as Swami Vidhitatmanandaji says, that's an interesting thing, because that means the source of knowledge being the karana, being the cause, is superior to the effect. See, the cause is always superior to the effect, because it is the very source of the effect. The effect was not there, karana was there, and so the effect came later on, so it cannot be superior, and so it was born out of the karana. So here, does that mean that the Vedas are superior to the Atma? Because they showed the Atma, which is a effect of the cause. So that means that they are superior to the Atma? He says no. Why? Because Ishvara says, which is the Paramatma, Vedanta Krit Vedanta Vit. He says the creator of the Vedas and the knower of the Vedas is also me. So here we can make a distinction, because remember we were saying earlier that essentially the Paramatma and the Jivatma are the same. So now we can say that they are different. Remember we were talking about the fact that in some cases they are different. Here is a case they are different. Because the Jiva by itself cannot know its own truth. It needs an external force to tell who you are. But that external force is the Ishvara, who also created but has the ability to dispel your ignorance about yourself. So that's why he says, Vedanta Krit Vedavit Evachaham. I am the one that created the Veda. I am the one that knows. Of course, when I created the Veda, I knew exactly what I was doing. I am the designer. And that Veda, if you knew what it is telling you, that Veda tells you who you really are. That acts as a mirror to you, and in such a way that you are clear about who you are. And you don't have to you don't have to look at yourself as an object anymore, because you cannot look at yourself as an object. You don't need to look at yourself as an object. That's the thing. You see, there's a big difference. One is that you cannot know yourself as an object. In which case I have a huge problem, because I can never tell myself as an object, so I reject it, as we were saying earlier. The key thing is, you don't need to know that you are the object, because you are everything. You are everything. It's like the ocean is like water saying, I need to look at myself as a wave. Hey, you are the wave. You will not have to look at yourself as how am I going to do if you are the water and I'm going to make a wave out of you? You want to look at yourself that way? The main thing is that you are the very source of all waves. When that becomes clear to you, and the only reason it is not clear is because you are You have drunk the alcohol of Maya. You're just confused. But if you just calm down and look at it, you find that you are the very source of everything. Source of means you are free from everything. Na punya pape mama na asti nashaha. You will see that you are not affected by any karma phala. Karma phala, all the punya and papa and its effect, all are related to your reflection, which is your body, mind, etc. But as far as your own reality goes, so like in a dream, you did something wrong, and then you were taken to a judge, and the judge said, he's put him in jail. He's really a criminal. And so you are being dragged into the jail, and your family members are crying, please don't take them away, so on and so forth. And you're saying goodbye to them, and you're going to the jail, and all of that, you're crying and so on. All of a sudden you wake up. All you wanted to do in the dream was that I hope I don't stay in the jail for more than 1 week. You are instantly free. And this happens many times, really. You wake up from a dream and you find, oh wow, I thought I had to solve that problem, but the problem itself went away. I'm awake. So he says, na punya pape. And most importantly, na asti nasha. Na janma. There is no destruction for me. This needs to be understood. Right now I am fully under the understanding that there will be a nasha. I had a beginning, and whatever has a beginning must have an ending. No. You never had a beginning, and so there will be no ending for you as well. You are free from all of that. So this fact is shown by the Vedas. This fact is shown by Ishvara. And in that sense, the Ishvara is something more than what you are. And Ishvara says that you are made up of the same thing as I am. Na punya pape mama asti, na nasha, na janma. And in that sense, there is no duality. We are the same, guys. There's only one conscious entity, only one, which was never born. It is always the same. This needs to be seen. So with that, verse number 22 also finishes. And in that sense, really speaking, all the other things that are external to you are also, they disappear. They dissolve as though. Just like in the dream, you had some mountains, you had some water, and a lot of things, they were there. They're all gone. So that's what he's saying. Na bhumihi, there is no solidity. Na apaha, there is no wetness, no water. Na vanni, no fire. Na cha anilaha, and so there's no So these are all the Pancha Mahabhutas. So Anilaha means no air. Nacha Ambaramcha, not even space. There's no space. The concept of space also disappears in Atma. Evam viditva paramatma rupam guhashayam nishkalam advitiyam. Having known this, the paramatma rupam, as we were talking about, the paramatma rupam means satyam jnanam anantam. You're always there. No nasha, no janma. So he says, Guhashayam. So Guhashayam here means the resident in the very cave of your understanding. So inside the non-understanding. Cave here means the darkness of non-understanding is called the cave. But you're residing in the darkness itself. So the darkness is just a temporary one which covers you. It's kind of like covering the sunlight with your eyes. So there is light there also, but you're just choosing to hide it for a while. No hiding for that. Nishkalam advitiyam. No parts to it, just like, so you are always there. There's no parts to you. You're not made up of anything. You don't need any food to connect you. Sadasad viniham. So sadasad vihinam. Sadasad means the one which is devoid of cause and effect. Or you can even say one which is murta and amurta. That's also sometimes it's used for sadasat. So murta means one which is visible, like fire, the water, and prithvi. And amurta is space and air. So the space and air are called asat, and prithvi, water and fire are called sat. All five of them are in you itself. You are separate from all of it. You are beyond that, as we were talking about it. Prayati Shuddham Paramatma Rupam. And so you attain this purity of the limitness of the Atma. So that's all that happens. Shuddham Paramatma Rupam means you're always Shuddham Paramatma Rupam, but you always looked upon yourself in a limited way. That's all. Same example of the room space versus total space. You're always the space. There's no two separate spaces. So when you break down the walls, not as though the inner space merges with the outer space. Sometimes this is how Vedanta is taught. It merges with Paramatma. It doesn't merge. It is always the same. You see, this is the interesting thing. This is an important technical detail that one has to know. If you were to merge, what does merging mean? Merging means two separate entities coming together. Right? If that were to be the case, you know how much injustice you're doing to Paramatma? You are saying to Paramatma, I know you are everything, but you're not me, because I haven't merged with you yet. That means you are a separate entity. You are limited. And if you were the only thing that was limiting Paramatma, it would be okay. But everybody else does the same thing. You can go to your neighbor and say, by the way, have you seen Ishvara? He says, no. And where is Ishvara? He says, oh, this is separate from me. He also thinks it's separate from you. You also think it's separate from you. Everybody thinks it's separate. How much space does he have left? Merging is not merging here. It just means it is the same thing which was looked upon either in a limited way or an unlimited way. Same thing. So this is what is called Shuddham Paramatma Rupam means. Shuddham means purity. You are no longer constrained by having walls, which is Ashuddham in that sense, which is not pure. So this is the culmination of the whole thing. And so we're pretty much done with this. So I think what we will do in the concluding class is to go over verse number 24, which is on meditation. We'll talk about that. And then quickly revise the entire structure of the Kaivalya Upanishad. We should be able to do it in one class. So I will attempt to do that, and with that, the Kaivalya Upanishad will be complete. So I'll do that next week. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. I see a couple of comments which are, we won't really comment on that commentary, but no questions. So with that, I close the class, and we will see you in the concluding class next week. Om.